Welcome to Just the Facts, where we follow the data and the documents. A constitutional storm is gathering in Washington, pitting the power of the presidency against the authority of the federal courts.
Yeah.
In his second term, President Trump has used this wave of executive orders to drive his agenda, but now the judiciary is pushing back hard.
That's right, Alex. We are witnessing a fundamental test of the limits of presidential power.
Right.
And it's happening across multiple fronts, simultaneously. Let's start with what the president is doing. We've seen major executive actions on tariffs, immigration, and even punitive measures against specific universities and law firms.
Okay, so let's get specific, starting with the tariffs. For our listeners who have heard about the trade wars, what is the exact legal controversy here?
So the administration has been using a 1977 law, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, to impose these really broad tariffs on imports.
Okay.
The key fact here, and this is as cited by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, is that IEEPA has historically been used for, sanctions against hostile nations.
Right, not for this.
Exactly, not for setting widespread taxes on goods from allies and competitors alike. The court recently ruled 7-4 that this use of IEEPA is likely illegal.
Wow.
Yeah, stating the power to set tariffs and taxes, that rests with Congress.
So the court is drawing a line in the sand. And Ben, this isn't an isolated incident.
Not at all.
An NBC News report recently detailed a whole string of legal defeats for the administration, including this fascinating case involving immigration and a law that's over 200 years old.
It's a remarkable situation.
It is.
The president invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. I mean, that's one of the original Alien and Sedition Acts. And he used this wartime statute to order the deportation of Venezuelan migrants, them framing their presidents as a predatory incursion. But the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, one of the most conservative in the nation, they blocked the order.
What was their reasoning?
Well, in their ruling, the judges stated that a country encouraging its citizens to immigrate, even illegally, is just not the same as an armed, organized force invading the United States. They essentially said the facts on the ground just don't match the extreme conditions required by this 1798 law.
So this brings us right to the central theme, the separation of powers.
Exactly.
Ben, for those who haven't been in a civics class recently, can you just explain why these court rulings are so significant?
Absolutely. It all comes back to a landmark 1952 Supreme Court case, Youngstown Sheet and Tube Company versus Sawyer. The court told President Truman he couldn't seize steel mills during the Korean War. And Justice Robert Jackson, in a famous concurring opinion, gave us this brilliant framework.
Right.
Think of it like a traffic light for presidential power.
A traffic light, I like that. Break it down for me.
Okay, green light, the president acts with direct approval from Congress. His power is at its absolute maximum.
Okay.
Yellow light, Congress is silent. This creates a zone of twilight where the president and Congress might have shared authority. And then red light. The president takes action that goes directly against the will of Congress.
Got it.
Here, his power is at its lowest ebb. And the courts are essentially saying these recent EOs are running a red light.
And we're seeing that red light flash in other areas too, aren't we? Specifically with the actions taken against private institutions.
Yes.
Yes, a federal judge blocked the administration from withholding nearly $2 billion in funding from Harvard University, calling the White House's justification a smokescreen for an ideologically motivated assault.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Just Security litigation tracker, it details multiple lawsuits from law firms like Perkins Coie and Jenner Block, who were targeted with EOs terminating their government contracts.
Okay.
A judge in one of those cases called the order an unprecedented attack on the foundational principles of our judicial system.
So with the lower courts in what sounds like open rebellion, has Congress just simply abdicated its authority? It seems they passed these broad laws that the president is now using in unexpected ways.
Well, that's the heart of the debate over the non-delegation doctrine.
Right.
For decades, Congress has delegated authority to the executive branch. The question the courts are now grappling with is, did Congress just give away the store? Did it fail to provide an intelligible principle to guide the president, essentially handing over its lawmaking power?
Which means the Supreme Court is now the ultimate referee.
According to a Reuters analysis, the court has frequently granted the administration's emergency requests this term. But now they face these fully argued high-stakes cases on their merits.
Yeah.
The tariff case is already on appeal. What happens next?
Well, the court has two basic paths. It can affirm the lower court rulings, which would be a landmark decision to rein in executive authority and push power back towards Congress.
Okay.
Or it could reverse them and side with the president's expansive view of his own power.
A big deal.
A huge deal. A decision like that would dramatically reshape the balance of power, granting future presidents a far more powerful toolkit, especially in what they deem a national emergency.
A truly pivotal moment for the country and the Constitution. Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. As technology and global crises accelerate, the need for swift executive action often clashes with the deliberate pace of legislative process. Where should the line be drawn between an effective, decisive president and an overreaching one? And in our modern era, is it the job of the courts or a responsibility of Congress to draw that line?